Hi guys, welcome to my favorite day and time of the week when I get to spend my time with you live. And it's really interesting because a comment in the most current video on how much gold and silver do I need came up about Bitcoin being the elephant in the room. Bitcoin is not the elephant in the room. And I'm going to show you today why it's not. But we've got to start out with a little bit of a lesson, which is on money and how they make these transitions. So originally we had the gold and silver coins. They're commodity based, so they're physical, physical gold and silver. They store energy, so it takes work and effort to pull them out of the ground and all that energy, and then that is stored in the coins and then afterwards used in every single sector of the global economy. So it stores energy rather than just uses it up. It requires fiscal responsibility. When a currency is actually backed and convertible into the gold, the public has the tool to hold those that are on fire, has the tool to hold their toes to the fire. You control it. You hold it. You own it outright. It's private, it's invisible, it's got 5,000 or more years worth of history on protecting people's wealth through inflations, hyperinflations, deflations, political crisis, global unrest, etc. And it performs four functions. It is a medium of exchange, a tool of measure, a short-term store of value so that you're fairly paid for your current labor, and a long-term store of value so that no matter when you use that money, it still retains that level of purchasing power, so you are always fairly paid for your labor. Four basic functions of money. Then they transitioned us into what? A Federal Reserve note. Okay, Federal Reserve note. And what's that? Well, that's a government fiat money by decree. It is debt-based. It allows fiscal irresponsibility, as you see with the debt layers in this country alone, above $35 trillion and climbing, plus all of the garbage products that they can create from that. It is in their control. If they want to regulate the rate and speed of inflation, they do it through interest rates, and they just print more and more and more of this, which reduces the purchasing power value of everything that's already out there. You still have privacy, because if I'm holding a bill, that is invisible to those that are in power. And it has 100 or so year life cycle, so much shorter life cycle, and we are at the end of this current experiment. And it eliminates one of those functions, which is the long-term store of value. I'm sure every single person watching this knows that if all you do is save those dollars, that the purchasing power, you can buy less and less and less with them over time. That's what erodes your purchasing power. So when they shifted us from the real sound money with four functions, now the Federal Reserve note has three functions, and they want to take us into a digital currency, a CBDC, and or Bitcoin. And my personal belief, since I've studied currency life cycles since 1987, my personal belief is that Bitcoin is a Trojan horse to get adoption, to make it easy to make this transition. So this is programmable fiat money. We don't really know clearly quite yet what will justify creating it. Debt was created from the Federal Reserve note, right? But it does allow for fiscal irresponsibility, and it uses up both energy and water, which are two critical elements that we all need to retain a reasonable standard of living. It is completely in their control because it is programmable. So you aren't going to write the code. Those that are in power, or those that create these new cryptocurrencies, they write the code. And let me tell you, I don't need to be an engineer or anything to understand physical gold and silver. That's easy peasy. We've got a long track record. But I do need to be a specific kind of engineer to understand cryptocurrencies. So when they're really, really complicated, I don't know. Do you think maybe there might be something in there that might not be in your best interest? I can't look at that. I don't know. But additionally, what they're going for is to reduce it down to 2 functions. So it's just a tool of measure and a medium of exchange. No longer will it be a long-term or even a short-term store of value, because according to the central banks, they say that once we have that CBDC, because right now, these dollars, they don't pay you interest, they don't charge you interest, but in the programmable money, they can. And so they can have their finger on the economic button 24/7. And if you are not spending money fast enough, because it's a consumer-driven economy, that very well could be what they're going to base creation of this stuff from. But there are no limitations to how low they can push interest rates, which actually means there are no limitations on how quickly they can attack your principal, because they've already gotten all your purchasing power. So we go from 4 functions of money to 3 functions of money down to 2 functions of money. You have to decide if that's okay with you. It's not okay with me, because I understand it really well. And that's why every single portfolio needs to have a sound money foundation in your possession outside of the system to protect your purchasing power, be a proper diversifier for whatever fiat money products you're going to hold, including cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin. But it benefits those that are in power, the governments and the central banks, to support the CBDCs. And so we're seeing this big push, the electronic money standard, and the possibility of a 0 inflation target, because that is how they are going to sell it to us. This is what they're saying. Hey, you give us a CBDC and we promise you there won't be any more inflation. No, there'll be deflation, because they're going to attack your principal. I'm not giving it to them lightly. And I hope that there's enough of us that can come together in global community, have this movement, this sound money movement, and prevent them from being able to have complete control over us, because that's what they're talking about.
Real quickly, Lynette, move your mic just a little bit closer to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you
It's
so
okay,
much.
but it's just a little bit quiet.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So I also want to point out how closely this fake Bitcoin, right? So this is just an image. Here's the real image of Bitcoin. There is no image. But when they wanted to have an image, like you can see on Brazil's Congress to weigh Bitcoin reserve, and of course we've had the reserve discussion here, right? They're trying to legitimize it. They've already basically legalized it. But this is the future of the money system, and you really have to ask yourself if it's going to be in your best interest, because they need more eyes, they need more adoption. We may be at that critical level. I can't tell you, but there is a reason, because this is real gold, right? This is a commodity money. This is Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't even know if you can tell the difference when you're looking at the screen, right? So they want you to think of Bitcoin as digital gold, but it has not withstood the test of time yet. Let's just keep moving forward with this, because really all of those digital currencies are either depicted as gold, silver, or platinum. They want you to think that this new, more flexible money is the same as gold and silver, and it's not. You can, here's one similarity, right? With gold and silver, you can put it in any form and it's monetary at its base. Whether I'm wearing it or I'm using it as an iced teaspoon, right? But it's actually real. They can divide Bitcoin up into little teeny weeny itty bitty fractional pieces, that falls more in line with what they want to do and makes it much easier for them to control you. They are not the same. Okay? They are not the same. And that's the difference. People are trying to put gold and Bitcoin in the same basket. They don't belong in the same basket. And I'm going to show you why. Now, this are some of the top 5 reasons why advisors recommend gold and cryptocurrencies, and you can read Bitcoin. But it's actually the top 6, and I'll show you why. First of all, it's for diversification, right? And you can see whether it's gold, 49% are saying you need to hold gold to diversify your portfolio. I think that number is higher. In my opinion, you need to hold, I think everybody needs to have a portfolio in gold for proper diversification. Gold and silver, Sound Money Foundation. But yeah, cryptocurrencies, I can see it for diversification. Also, this is tangible versus intangible. Okay, that is a huge difference. In this one, in the diversification in the crypto, it's crypto versus fiat money versus this stuff. Okay, that's the diversification. I don't know. What do you think? I would rather have everything diversified, and so gold fills that role. Cryptocurrencies do not fill that role. They also recommend it for long-term growth. Yeah, because the more that the central banks do this, the less value all that stuff has. And that's what the long-term growth is. Really, the single most important function of gold is to hold its value over time so that no matter, number one, no matter when you work for that money and you're fairly paid for it, it retains its value. So if you want to retire, you want to plan for your kids' education, you want to buy a house or buy anything in the future, guess what? Gold will maintain your ability to purchase not just the same goods and services. That's really what silver does, right? But it expands your ability because of how much money they're printing. And when you look at the spot market, that isn't even telling you what the true value of either gold or silver is. So it's severely undervalued. This is proven. 5,000 years of history. This is trading wealth. It's only been around since 2009. It is going through a test now, but it has not yet been tested. Now, the rest of it with gold, a hedge against inflation. This is all proven. A hedge against inflation, protection against deflation, as well as a safe haven asset. You don't see those anywhere on the crypto side, because for the crypto side, it's more about exposure to innovative technology, portfolio modernization, early adoption advantage, global accessibility, decentralized. Yeah, it's decentralized, but as we've seen a lot, and actually a lot in China, it's not as invisible to those that are in power that you think. They can still control the internet. They can still shut it down if they choose to do so. But what I'd also like you to know is that global accessibility and decentralization, I'm going to tell you a little story that was really interesting. This past weekend, we went to my daughter's husband, Megan. You guys might remember Megan. She used to work for me. But her husband was judging an auto show at Melina's Jewelers. And if you live in Phoenix, you probably know Melina's Jewelers. And it's a very high-end jewelry store. So we went there, and then we went in, and I know Al Molina and the great staff there. And he pulls out this gorgeous necklace, a $4.2 million sapphire and diamond necklace. And they're like, oh, here, try it on. I didn't buy it, you guys. I didn't even come close because I'm going more for gold at the moment. But I put it on, and my grandson Warner, which some of you might know, he's 11 years old. He comes up and he looks at it, and he was not really interested in the jewelry. And he goes, oh, yeah, as soon as you buy that, it loses all sorts of value. It's not worth it. And I said, well, actually, this is part of dynastic wealth. That is wealth that has lasted in families at least 300 years. And there are 3 legs to the dynastic wealth stool, right? There's real estate, truly rare collectibles, and gold. And you can do all 3 things with gold, because you can own a gold mine. You can have this is not super rare, but it's a collectible. And of course, you can just have the raw gold. And so the other thing that I talked about was movable wealth. Now, this is where both Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies and gold are similar. They're similar, because I could put that necklace on and go anywhere in the world. And if I needed money, you guys know I have my travel jewelry, that's gold and silver. If I needed money wherever I was in the world, it's easy for me to convert it into any of the local currencies. Maybe that's also true with cryptocurrencies. I don't own any, so I haven't done that experiment. And maybe I'll get a little, I don't know. Patience. Because right now, as we're making this transition from one financial system into the next financial system, since this is what I've studied for how many years? I mean, on some level, my whole life, I want the safest thing that I can do, because 100% of the time, thousands and thousands of years of history shows me that 100% of the time, I can always convert this into any local currency. We know my good friend George Gammon went down to South America and did it and had luck with silver and gold, and nobody wanted Bitcoin. So, but since gold and silver are used in every single area and sector of the global economy, you've got the broadest base of demand. So, they didn't put that down on there, but it certainly should have been global accessibility and decentralization at, guess what? 100%. Because I can't put my house on my back and walk away, but I can put a gold coin in my pocket and walk away. And depending upon its rarity would determine how much wealth I am walking away with. And I've traveled with this. And so I know I can travel with this anywhere in the world. It's tiny. I can stick it in my pocket. I can stick it in my purse. So we have to be real, because what gold and silver, physical in your possession, does, it is tangible. You hold it, no counterparty risk. The rest of it is intangible, and it's all counterparty risk. So the reality is while gold and silver are safe haven assets, if you hold them, what the cryptocurrencies are, including Bitcoin, are speculatory transitional assets. So what that really means is that gold and Bitcoin perform 2 different functions. You want to speculate on Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies, take your pick, go ahead. Just make sure that you're properly diversified and that you have enough gold so that if you lose all of your wealth in the stock market, if you lose all your wealth in the bond market, if you lose all your wealth in the crypto market, you've got that gold that will make up those losses. It's not rocket science, it's just proper diversification. But intangible to intangible is not real diversification. They just want you to think that it is. But it's not. So you take your pick, because what we know and what has been proven is that gold and silver work in a deflationary environment. I mean, you can see it. These are stocks. Right? This is gold, that's silver. So gold and silver work in a deflationary environment, because there's always first deflation. And the only way that you fight deflation is with inflation. And so which of the following do you perceive as a benefit to having gold in an investment portfolio? Safe haven, market recession or hedge, volatility hedge, and inflation hedge. Gold works in inflation, in deflation. It works for you if you have if the stock markets implode, if the bond markets implode. Cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin have not yet been tested, but they will be. They will be. And so even though today I personally do not own any cryptocurrencies, that is not going to be true into the future. What I don't know is exactly who's going to survive, but what I do know, it probably is Bitcoin because Wall Street has clearly adopted it hugely. But when they do those overnight resets where they take a tangible commodity, gold, and they revalue a fiat money against it, that is when you will see both gold and silver begin to express to its true fundamental value. But what is the fundamental value of a Bitcoin? Nobody knows. It's a speculation right now because it uses a lot of energy and it uses a lot of water, but it doesn't store it to be used in the other sectors. It just uses it up. So, it's not an elephant in the room for me because I don't bring up Bitcoin. I don't bring up Bitcoin when I'm talking about safe havens because it's not a proven safe haven. It is a new technology. You have to be an engineer and a specific kind of engineer to understand it. And I'm not an engineer. So give me something that's safe, that has a proven track record. Because then I can take all the speculation that I want if that's the choice that I'm making. But quite honestly, if I'm not putting my wealth in gold and silver, then I'm putting it in food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. Because that's what I need. That's what we all need to sustain a reasonable standard of living. And when I talk about what I do for community, that's all of the traveling that I'm doing. I'm going to be at VRIC. We leave on Friday. So I wanted to let you know that next week we're traveling back on Tuesday, which is normally when I do these. So we will do the live on Wednesday at noon Mountain Standard Time. And Adam, can we send out some reminders?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll absolutely be posting some reminders on Instagram, of course, and then I'll make a post in the community as well.
Right. And I know that it's been a little challenging because since we went to Australia, that kind of goofed up our timing, and then it was the holidays and blah, 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 blah. But after this last little piece, then we will not have a break in it. We'll be here every single Tuesday at noon until sometime in March. And I'll give you a heads up. That's 1 week that I'm actually going to take a vacation. So I'll let you know because I'm not going to do anything there. If we did film from there, I think I will be brain dead because I'm going to Pancha Carba. So that means I'm going to be very, 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 very relaxed. That's the hope. That's the hope. Did you want to say something? Oh, you looked like you did because now we could just go to...
No, we're good. You good for questions now?
I'm good for questions.
Cool. So we got the reminder out of the way, and there was one question I just wanted to answer real quickly, which was from, Kirsty Adler-Resnick. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name wrong. Hello,
Okay.
Lynette. Segment on how much gold and silver one should own. Where can I find the podcast? We just did that. That was our last video. I'm guessing that's what they're talking about because they said they were told that we had a segment. That video actually did very well. It's a very well put together video, if I say so myself. I definitely think you should go check it out. Go check it out.
It's a team effort.
Definitely. But you did a really good job of breaking that down. And
Thank you.
And it did really well for a reason. So.
Well, I mean, look, the strategy that we execute at Zang Enterprises is it's not rocket science, right? It's not overly complicated. It's based upon historic norms. So while I can't guarantee what's going to happen, I can absolutely tell you that if something has happened 100% of the time and we're doing the same thing, and there's 4,800 examples, I don't know, maybe this time is different, but I don't think so. And these transitions, I mean, we're looking at the digital revolution. None of us were alive for the Industrial Revolution. So we've lived through a few monetary iterations back from 13 to 33, from 33 to 48, and then from 48 to 71. And 2008, honest to goodness, guys, the system died. That's when it died. And so they were rushing to put together, and I know I was like one of the very first people, to talk about a reset. And I even remember at the old company, they said, oh, you can't say that. I say, yes, I can say that because that's what's happening. And if Christine Lagarde, who at that time was the head of the ECB, I think, or the IMF, I can't remember now, but one of those big entities, if she used the term reset 27 times in a 20-minute video, which has subsequently been taken down from Bloomberg, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it lays eggs like a duck, I'm going to say it's probably a duck. So I just believe them because we know, thank you to my father who used to say to me all the time, do what I say and not what I do. And I'd say, Daddy, that doesn't make sense to me. I listen to what they say and I watch what they do. What have the central banks done since the system died in 2008? I don't know. Maybe they bought more gold than they ever have in history. I believe that we are inside of a reset, and we marched down that path in 2008. That's when the system died. And that's when I started the food, water, energy, all of that, because I know what happens to people during these transitions. And I'm not looking to make more of this at this point because it's so irrelevant. Because there's 3 cents worth of purchasing power, for goodness sakes, right? They know how to make these transitions. If they can make things seem as normal as possible to you, then they make the transition and you don't even realize it. And I was there in 1971, and I'm sure a lot of people watching can say the same thing. Did you realize that we transitioned from at least a quasi-gold-backed system into a pure debt-based system that was never coming back the other way? They don't want you to know this. And so for me, that is my very well-educated opinion. You get to have a different opinion. I can't tell you what to think. All I can do is give you the data, give you the links to enable you to do your own due diligence and come up with your own suggestions. Okay, so Craig Assenstein says, is gold taking a breather once Trump is safely sworn into office? There's so many things that are happening right now, and gold is the safe haven asset. So it looks like the interest rates are going to stay higher for longer. They might even go up. That's good for the spot market. But when you're asking, is gold taking a breather, what you're really asking me is that spot contract going to go up or down? And it depends on what the powers, those that are in power, want you to believe. But there's an awful lot of pressure for it to continue to go up, whether it's continued high interest rates or it's the overvaluations in the markets, because there was a lot of hopium into these markets, and the markets have given up a lot of that hopium. So do I think the spot market is going to take a breather once Trump is safely sworn into office? Maybe, but it depends on how his policies start to unfold. And we'll see. We'll see.
Can you comment on what typically happens when a new president comes into office with gold?
Well, usually we kind of saw it already where the markets have a lot of hope for the new regime, right? And so that goes up, 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 and gold would go down. On the spot market, that is the spot gold market, because this market is only a physical only market. It's at Well, in the ultra, it's at the ultimately high levels. We're still breaking out here. But the more of this that gets printed, the higher that fundamental value of gold goes. Wall Street's never going to tell you what the true value. There's no good price discovery there. But we're going to do it when they need to regain your confidence and they do those revaluations. That's when we're going to see it. It's a whole strategy built on just what typically happens. Is this time different? Maybe, but I don't think so. And Jack Weed asks, a lot of people say buy gold, not Bitcoin. Some say buy Bitcoin, not gold. Why not have both? Voila. I personally don't have it because I cannot buy in and support their lie. And so to me, in my position, in what I do for you guys, right? Integrity is everything. I do what I say and I say what I do. And that's the way it is. But I'm not telling you to not buy it. I'm saying just make sure you're properly diversified. That's all. So yeah. And Monica Reyes says, new to gold, apologies. Don't apologize. You are very welcome to be here. I'm so glad. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there a difference between 1 ounce gold with dollar value on it versus 1 ounce of gold, no value imprinted? And can you travel airlines internationally with gold coins, or is it not allowed? All right, let's take each question at a time. That's a great question, Monica. Thank you for asking it. All right. So the gold that has a dollar value on it is, or was, monetary gold. Okay, so this coin is 1903 and it has a $20 face value on it. And actually, since you asked that, okay, well, all right, I don't want to get too complicated. All right, this is a new gold eagle. It has a $50 face value on it. The reason why either one of these have a face value, number one, they're monetary, and it was based upon a fixed price of gold. So in this new coin, the official U.S. price of gold is $42.22, and that's why this has a face value. Don't take the question away. I got to refer back to it. Okay, so now what you're also referring to, if it does not, and I don't think I have any of that, to be honest with you, because that would be like, if we were going to create a gold coin, we'd put a weight on it, but we probably would not put a dollar value on it. These are more recognizable. Both of these they would claim a bit of a premium to, say, a PAMP bar or something like that, right? Or a blank. So yeah, the ones that were monetary would sell at a little bit of a premium if they're all raw, okay? Now this coin that you see me hold up, this is a $20 gold coin, so is this. But this is a mint state coin, which means when you see MS, that actually means mint state. And what that means, never been in circulation. You can find some new mint state coins, but these were not ever created to be in circulation, whereas this $20 gold coin absolutely was, right? So we started with this, and this is great because I'm trying to show you also how they make that transition, right? We started with this gold coin. Then we went to this, a gold certificate, and you see, am I on the right side? You see that gold symbol right there? So you're getting used to that. And also, once the Federal Reserve was installed after that, we went to this. So we had all three of these in circulation at the same time with the same purchasing power value. So people said, I don't need that because I can go into the bank with this and get this. So I'm okay with this. And then look at how similar the two of those look. In 1933, what did they do? They took these two away and just left this. Boom! Transition made. That's what they're doing here, right? You bring in Bitcoin, people get used to it. You bring in CBDCs, it's an easy transition. You give them all value, you make them all, they did the same thing with silver, right? You make them all trade at the same time for the same value. You think they're all the same emotionally. You think they're all the same. They're not. And can you travel? Yes, I have definitely traveled internationally with this gold coin and this gold coin and lots of silver coins. So the answer is yes, you can. And what you want to do though too, Monica, is, call us 833-GLD-ZANG, because depending upon what you're trying to accomplish, this has a $20 face value, even though, and you can't hold me to this because I don't really work in this area, this coin might be worth in today's dollars $4,000, $5,000, something like that. But if you're traveling and you go through TSA and you do declare it, it has a $20 face value. So you can actually travel with a tremendous amount of wealth. And that might be part of your strategy. But give us a call and we'll help you define what that is and what you're trying to accomplish. And then it's always the right tool for the job.
Someone in the comments, it might have been Amy. Sorry, Amy, if I missed it. We had a lot of comments come in really at one time. Said something about traveling to Europe. They asked you about having bullion. Did I get that right? Mm-hmm. Have you ever been asked that, or have you ever had to kind of claim it and go through that process? Or
yes, okay. but if I'm traveling with bullion, it's either my travel bracelet, which has, I think, 3 coins that are like a tenth of an, no, I don't think they're a tenth of, and maybe they're a quarter of an ounce or something. I don't know. And or I will travel with this. So yeah, I'll declare it because it's $10,000, right? But this has a face value of 50. You think TSA agents understand any of this stuff? They do not. So you can travel with it. It's going to determine, you can travel with a lot more of these than you can with a lot more of these, because the max is 10,000 that you can in cash or this or that. So yeah. And Beaver Stacker says, if no one has money, how do you buy a computer or do your Bitcoin on it if yours fails? It's more than a computer. It is the power grid. You require power in order to do those transactions. And what we're seeing around the world and in this country too, is a lot of blackouts, brownouts, especially with all the data centers and all the other computing centers that are being built in areas that really can't afford either the energy or the water to keep them going. I'm just gonna to keep them going. So really good point, Beaver Stacker. Also takes us to the reason to be diversified and hold your wealth. And Richie Luxury asks, thank you for being one of the few YouTube channels that doesn't have sponsors and is unbiased. Well, I'm probably a little biased if I'm going to be honest with you, because I've been studying this and, thanks to my Uncle Al, I've been working in this arena my entire life. I can only remember back to being 4 years old. But I have been groomed. That's why I say I've been groomed for this moment in time. I used to believe that I was supposed to do something that had a positive impact on a lot of people. But what I've really come to realize is that my job in this really is to build this community of people that understand sound money and how important it is to be protected. Because I'm just one person. What can I do? But together, we can do anything. We can do anything. I'm getting chills. I know that's true. So it's my pleasure to be of service. It's not just why I was put on the planet. I think it's why we're all put on the planet, to be honest with you. And David Higby asks, they keep saying only 200 million Bitcoin will ever be created. Do you believe this? And how can that be enforced? I do believe, because they've got halving, they've got this, there's all different things, and it's all an algorithm. So no, I don't. And one of the points I think in that one comment was about all of these new gold finds, and China had this massive gold find. But understand that they're anything physical. I don't care what it is. It can be trees, it can be gold, it can be silver, it can be glasses, it can be glasses. It doesn't matter. Anything physical, there is a finite amount. And there's only so far that it can be divided. Like, they can create a token on this glass that I'm sitting here drinking out of. Well, the glass, if you break the glass into itty bitty pieces, I'm not going to be able to drink out of it, and it's certainly going to cause a problem. But they can then sell those itty bitty pieces with this technology all around the world, and all of a sudden I don't really own this glass anymore. So when they come to want you, because they're working on it, to tokenize your gold, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not going to do it. Don't do it. Because before you realize what has happened, you will, if they have their druthers, you will spend all of your wealth. And then who are you going to blame? There's nobody to complain to, but you're going to blame yourself for doing that. And that's ridiculous, because you were nudged into it. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And Rob asks, when do you think that silver will take off like a rocket? Once it hits that $50 mark, it will have broken above and concluded its cup. Now, what we saw when gold did that was then it came down and created a wedge formation with lower highs and higher lows. And then that broke out. So that's where we are. But you will see silver on the spot silver market, because again, these spot markets do not reflect the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold or silver. But technically speaking, once we hit that $50 mark, then even though there might be some consolidation in there, because it kind of works like this, okay? Let's say that you bought silver in the 80s at $50, right? And then it went down from there, and it still hasn't gone up to there. And you're going, oh my God, if it ever gets that high again, I'm going to sell it. So what that does is create theoretically a pool of sellers at that previous high level. Just like on the bottom side, let's say you were going to buy it at $4 and you didn't do it, and you go, oh my God, if it ever gets that low again, I'm going to buy it. And that creates a pool of buyers at that lower level. So the spot price goes up into 50, into that pool of sellers, and that puts downward pressure on the price. Then goes up, hits that again. When it's used up, that pool of sellers, that's when it breaks above and it goes to the moon on a Lorna Doone. And Farm Dogs ask, Bitcoin is going 100,000 plus, silver stuck below 30. Yeah, why? Because they don't want you to own silver. They don't want you to own gold. But they do want you to own cryptocurrencies, because that supports the transition into the new monetary system. So what do you want to do? Buy an overvalued asset or an undervalued asset that's proven thousands of years of history? That's what I want. You do whatever you want. And if you're going to do it, because Bitcoin could go higher than that. It's a trading vehicle. It is not a flight to safety asset. It is not the same as gold. Not. And
I'm going to interrupt you real quickly to shout out Queen, because she's been so nice to you. She says she loves your top.
Oh, thank you.
She loves you in general.
Thank you.
And she loves what we do.
appreciate it.
So, hey,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you.
I hope, Queen, that you can come to one of the events that I'm going to be at somewhere in the world. We'll let you know. We'll have a whole page on it on the new website.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just real quickly, also
And
unbearable.
I got this in Australia, too. I'm telling you,
Oh.
Australia, the best fashions. The best fashions. I love Australian fashions.
Yeah, it was really, really cool to see all the different looks there. I didn't know you got that in Australia. Awesome.
Yeah, I
Looks
did.
great. I
I
love that
got it
shirt
in
too.
Australia.
I said that. I love that shirt. Real quickly, Unbearable. That is a funny name, especially given what I'm going to say. You're not being very nice, but that's okay. He's called you old and that you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I
He's
am
also-
old, but that's why I do know what I'm talking about.
I figured I would just tell you he needed you to know.
Okay.
But also, you do have a point, which he's saying about liquidation of gold and how difficult it is. Also, the point that they're making is that you could just buy $50 of Bitcoin, but you can also buy $50 of gold too. I mean, a half a gram is $50 right now, you know? So, I mean, it's not a lot of gold, but you wouldn't have a lot of Bitcoin either. There are ways to do this in the same way, right? And being able to liquidate it as well. Can you real quickly just speak on liquidation? Just real quickly, if you don't mind.
Okay, liquidation is easy because you have the broadest base of buyer. Unlike Bitcoin that is in one area, just like this stuff, it's in one area. But with gold and silver, physical, it's used in every single sector of the global economy. Therefore, it has the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of buyer. There are tons and tons and tons of buyers for gold and for physical silver. You could go to a dealership like us, which makes a whole lot of sense because we have this whole global network of wholesalers. So it's easy in and it's easy out. You can go to any jewelry store. You can go to any pawn shop. You can go to a smelter. You can go, I mean, I'm not recommending any of those other places because you probably would not maximize benefit, but there are more than 3,000 gold dealers around this country. So it's very, very easy to liquidate. And because there's no counterparty risk. So when you're holding it, you actually own it. And when you sell it, that's when those rights get transferred. When you're looking at cryptocurrencies, okay, apparently you know how to liquidate those, but I don't have a clue, right? So yes, I am old. I'm 70 years old. I do not hide this. But and I wouldn't go back. I would not want to be even one day younger than I am. And the reason is because of all the history that I've lived through. Because history has a tendency to repeat itself. Even if it's not exact, it absolutely rhymes. And so having the life experience that I've had with the transition from a quasi-gold standard into a debt-based standard, while they're promising, President Nixon was promising that as long as you buy American, you're not going to deal with inflation. And yet we've lost over 98% of its purchasing power since then, right? So the difference between gold and silver and Bitcoin, you know, this technology is great, but, and maybe he can answer this. Are you an engineer? Can you go in and read all the codes and make guarantees to everybody that those codes, what they mean, can't be altered? I mean, really, what do they mean? How does it work? Is he responding to that? No. Does he know? Do you know how to do that? Because if I have to be an engineer to understand my money, that means that they can put anything in there and I'm not going to know until it's too late. But this is simple. It's commodity. It's real. And I got the broadest base of buyer. So yeah, I'm old. I was there on Black Monday in 1987. Best flipping day I could have ever been a stockbroker because I know what a meltdown looks like. Do you? No. I'm glad to be old. Yup. And by the way, I was also a child of the 70s. And in the 70s, you didn't trust anybody over 30. They were the establishment. And I remember those days too. So yeah, and maybe Maybe. And it's one thing I'm really proud about for Zang Enterprises. Our youngest employee is 23. Our oldest is 77. And we have everybody in between. Because every single one of you, I mean, we had this discussion this morning with Adam and Chandelier.
Right.
Well, what's your password? That ain't my job, Mon. You got to do the password. So I'm not saying that I'm techno savvy, because I'm not. I'm good with spreadsheets. I'm really good with PowerPoints, and I'm really good with research. There are things that I can do, but understanding and creating a cryptocurrency out of thin air, not even interested in doing that. Doesn't mean I won't at some point own them. And when I do, I will tell you. If I don't tell you, it's because I don't. And that's my ethics. And I don't get insulted by anything.
Right, unbearable. I was just I was having fun with you there. Hope you're not too mad at us. And yeah, we don't mind you being here. So
and I
hey,
love
listen,
those questions.
The differences of opinion,
right?
that's what we're all here for, right? Steph Fran said something to the effect of, let me kind of go back up real quickly because I thought it was kind of a funny comment. Don't get me wrong, I'm pro metals, but I like money, so I bought Bitcoin and I'm doing fantastic.
Because you're trading.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I've never said, well, I can't say that because there was a time when I did say, meh. But I'm not telling you not to buy Bitcoin. I'm just saying they're two different things.
Right.
And they have two different functions.
Right.
So when you establish your goals and to your point, right? You're trading, Bitcoin is going up. It's probably going to go up some more in terms of this because of all of this that's sloshing around the system. What can you convert it into? It's not transactional yet, right? It's got to have more functions for me. I think it's a fabulous function to put it on a little drive and stick it in your pocket and go anywhere in the world. I think that is a very important function. But what other function? Its real function is to get you comfortable with CBDCs. That's its real function. But, you know, you can play it and then you can take some gains and convert into metals, right? It doesn't have to be all or none. We were just talking about that earlier, too.
Absolutely.
So protect the penguins, and I agree, I love penguins. Nothing wrong with having, to the point, nothing wrong with having both Bitcoin and gold. UTXO, that must mean something, but I don't know. UTXO. Okay, I can go anywhere in the world, walk through any metal detector, any baggage search with $1 million worth of Bitcoin. How does that work with gold? Quality and rarity. So I can do that too, but I don't have to hide it because this has a face value of $20. And I've done it. I have absolutely done it, so I know I can do it. Okay, Jamie Long. I believe just like that necklace, and my grandson was like, right? Well, what if I walked out of the store with that $4 million necklace? It's diamonds, it's sapphires, it's platinum. I can go anywhere in the world and sell them or sell a link or sell whatever. So tangible wealth is, well, that's not entirely true. But the kind of tangible wealth that we're talking about is movable wealth. So, Jamie Long, I believe that Bitcoin may be the biggest snare in history and finance. We're going to find out, aren't we? We're going to find out. And Beaver Stacker, Lynette, how well did the people that had gold and silver do in the Great Depression? Well, I could go back to those two charts, but they did very, very well. And I might point out that the Treasury Secretary Wooden slipped in that little caveat about being able to, any coin minted prior to 33 is classified as rare and unusual. So in reality, people did not have to turn that gold in. They could have said, I'm a collector. And then they would have been able to continue to accumulate, just like those guys did, accumulate gold unobserved, just like my Uncle Al did when he would go into wealthy people's homes and buy antiques and buy beautiful stuff. And they would say, oh, wow, we have these gold coins. What are we going to do with these gold coins? I'll buy them. And he had at least 3,000 gold coins. The only way, Aunt Bertie, if something happens to me, Aunt Bertie will be well taken care of because of what's in these safes. I'd love to have what he had in those safes. I'd love that. Yeah. So they did quite well during the Depression, and that's what I tried to show you here. Whether it's deflation or inflation, which is really the same problem, it's just the flip side, where prices are going down. So think about this for a minute, okay? What is a depression? It's an extreme deflationary period, right? During this period, if you look at the purchasing power chart, it looks like purchasing power has gone up, but it's really the prices of stuff going down. No, people that did not own gold and turned their gold in or silver, if you didn't own it, then all you had was this stuff, and it went down. It was revalued. Yeah. That's how people survived. And let's go a little bit sooner than that. How about the sovereign debt crisis in Europe in 2013-14? How did people survive that? They sold off. And mind you, I'm not saying that they necessarily had coins, but gold and silver in any form is monetary at its base. And a lot of people survived by selling off their gold and silver. So yeah, it works in deflation, it works in inflation. You got to have it as a foundation. And Red Dirt Okla, what do you think about what BlackRock did and American Airlines? Seems like a lot of 401ks are going to have issues. Glad I moved mine to gold and paid off the house. That's perfect, because really we already have a retirement crisis that is in play. Since most of everybody's retirement plans are either stocks or bonds, right? So we've minted like all of these millionaires because of all of this money printing, but when push comes to shove and everything gets revalued, I mean, I can tell you that typically through these transitions, 80% of the population ends up in abject poverty, but not if you own gold and silver. In gold and silver, you have a lot of opportunities, because what's overvalued right now, and gold is undervalued, this is going to flip-flop, and you'll hold your purchasing power and be able to convert into them. Or any cryptocurrencies. That's really what I'm thinking, and if I change my mind, I'll let you guys know. But really what I'm thinking is, I mean, these things, I don't know what the value is yet, right? They're still finding whatever that might be. So this is just speculative trading. That's what's going on in cryptocurrencies right now. But so to me, severely overvalued, can only convert it into this, right? That's going to flip-flop. I will see who survives. It's the same thing with corporations and why I don't own any stock right now, because I don't know who's going to survive this transition. But once I do, then guess what? I'll have lots of purchasing power to convert into the cryptocurrencies, into stocks, into income producing real estate, into rights, into many things that will put me and my family in the best possible position for, to your point earlier, because I'm old and I'm not going to be here forever. I think I'll be here another 30 years, so don't worry. And I feel really good, and I do a lot to maintain my health. But also the health of my wealth, so that it can transition to my family. Leaving a legacy is important to me.
2 seconds.
And
Low blood pressure says you look really good for 50.
thank you. I love that. I don't know, I don't know how. I kind of get that all the time.
Look, he
It's
also
nice.
asked what color Lambo you're going to get when the reset happens.
Oh, I don't want a Lambo. I don't think I could get in and out of it. But you know what I would do? After the reset, I would do a Bentley.
Okay.
But I'm an old lady.
Okay,
I can't
Bentley,
get in a
okay,
Lamborghini.
Okay.
Okay. Full of hope. I'm right with you. I think when choosing gold, are you passing on wealth because you are wealthy now, or are you regular guy just saving your purchasing power? Lynette has dynastic wealth. I don't. But I built it over time. That just didn't happen like that. And so, yeah, I do have dynastic wealth, but there's no reason why you can't have dynastic wealth. I mean, if you really truly did understand that this little 1 ounce of gold is worth over 40,000 bucks, and you can buy it at 2700, rock and roll hoochie coo, that's how you build dynastic wealth. You look at, and it's not rocket science to even understand what's in a positive trend or a negative trend, right? What you really want to see in a positive trend are higher and higher lows. Because here's a guarantee, and I can't give you many, but I can give you this. If you consistently get higher and higher lows, at some point you will get higher highs. How do you know it's a negative trend? Because what you see are lower and lower highs. And if you keep getting lower and lower highs, you will get lower lows. So now there's probably people out there going, oh, but Bitcoin hit $100,000 a coin, blah, blah, blah. Except that you can only convert it into this. So what's the real trend that you need to be looking at? The purchasing power. That's it. You need to be looking at the purchasing power. That's the real trend, and that's how they fool you. They make the stock market look like it's going up. They make the bond market look like it's going up, or it's going down these days. But they make it look like even the cryptocurrencies. If it goes up, you're going to pay more attention. If gold was at $42,000 an ounce, you're going to pay attention. But you don't have to spend even the $5,000 because there's fractional, right? There's smaller sizes, right? There's all different ways to approach it depending upon your budget. You can see the difference in sizes. And one way, and I've done this, so I have a lot, I mean, you guys know this tray, right? So I'd go to estate sales, yard sales, whatever. If there's 14 karat or 18 karat gold jewelry and it's all bent and broken and the silver is tarnished and blah, 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 it doesn't matter. I'll buy it. I'll buy it for melt, right? I'll buy it at spot. So, if your budget is limited, I don't know if this would work anymore, but I used to have a client, and when he retired, he went to work at Coinstar. So those are those machines that you see in the grocery store, and people always throw their change in a big bucket, and then they go and they dump it in there, and then they get the pieces of paper. The reason why he did that was because his boss didn't care if he came across a silver quarter. He just changed it out for a regular quarter, right? I've had other people that will go into the bank and buy rolls of dimes, quarters, and half dollars and go sit at night and go through them. And, used to be much easier to find the silver coins in there, but then he would roll it back up and take it back to the bank and do it again and do it again. So there's always a way to accumulate regardless of what your budget is. And that's why at Zang Enterprises, you know what our minimum is? 1 ounce of silver. Why? Because we want everybody to own physical gold and physical silver. So please, I'm just further along than you because I understand money and I started accumulating it earlier than you did. But there are all different ways to accumulate regardless of what your budget is. And regardless of the form, gold and silver are all monetary at its base. And I'll betcha, maybe you have some Mexican silver, 925, that's 92.5% pure. This is sterling silver, it's 92.5% pure, right? I mean, look around. You probably have some that you don't even realize. Your wedding band is probably 14 or 18 carats. And Wolf asks, Wolf asks, how would the California fire that burned down banks affect the bottom line of the banks? Well, first of all, it's absolutely horrendous what is happening in California. In March, we're gonna put this out again. I did a whole video on what was happening in the insurance markets. So either talking about 30 billion insured losses. I'm going to tell you there's a whole lot more losses than that. But how will that impact the banks? Well, if they rebuild, it might have an impact on their bottom line, but they're probably fully insured. So actually the banks and all of the rebuilding and restructuring that's going to have to happen in California, you're going to see the growth in California. So the banks are kind of almost immune to this kind of disaster. They would not be immune to a currency crisis. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be rebuilt. It's going to be horrible. I'm sorry for anybody, certainly any families that have lost loved ones or pets. You know, anybody that you have loved and lost is horrendous. And all the memories that people have lost, I'm so sorry, because the pictures, I mean, you can't replace. The rest of it is stuff. But if somebody was actually holding gold, then it melted, but it didn't evaporate. Gold is indestructible. So, Zoot Allure, how do you survive capital controls? Gold becomes illegal, then what? Well, my darling, there is gold, and then there is gold. So gold becomes illegal. What kind of gold, right? It's this kind of gold. It's the new stuff. It's the monetary gold. It's the kind of gold that you can hold in IRAs. This is in a different category. Same gold content weight, no different, whether it's 1908 or 2024, right? So this I can hold in an IRA, makes it very easy to confiscate and make illegal and just leave a whole bunch of money. This is less likely to be confiscated because it's in a collectible category. So it's kind of like if you look at your health insurance, do you want the kind of health insurance that you can buy? Or would you pay a bit of a premium for the health insurance that the federal government gets? Because I guarantee you it's better than yours. So that's the way I think about it. How do you survive capital controls? You be as private and independent and self-sufficient as possible, right? That's the importance of local community. Because like if somebody comes into my community, what skill sets do you have? I have the gold and silver, right? And I have the land, I have that stuff because I've accumulated that over time. Understand though, too, I moved over into the gold market, even though I was aware of it and always had a foundation. But in 2002, that's when I knew that there was a shift that was happening in the currency markets, in this money market. So I've been accumulating since then, where spot was like $4.38 an ounce. Spot silver was, I mean, I was buying silver dollars, peace dollars, for like $4.50 a piece, something like that. I mean, so capital controls, you become as independent and self-sufficient as possible. And because, you know, I've been working on this piece diligently since 2008. We don't have that same kind of time, but if you can find like-minded people and come together, you bring your skills and talents, they bring what they have, their skills and talents and assets, and everybody comes together and survives this in a much better shape. So local community, I would say that's how you survive those capital controls, and you do things that make you as private as possible. Let's see. Full of Hope asks, I've been buying gold 10 years, just never bought rare ones. I now have a sizable stash, but it was to reach that price.
It was to reach that price, which is the 42,000 kind of.
And it'll probably be higher than that. I mean, they're just numbers. Don't get blinded by numbers.
Yeah.
But so there, you will have a sizable stash. Now, what's the difference? there really is not, honest to God, there's not a whole lot of difference between these two. That's why for me, this is my emergency savings. If I needed to liquidate and I needed more cash for whatever reason, this is what I would sell first, okay? There's basically no difference. It's raw gold and raw gold. The difference comes when you're doing this versus this, right? So this, there is a finite amount of. This happens to be a mint state 63, which means it has a level of blemish. Mint state runs between 60 and 70. 70 meaning absolute perfection. I've never seen an early coin at a mint state 70. This stuff, yeah, because it was never intended to be in circulation, right? So it's treated differently. But back in the day, they'd throw these in a pouch, they'd throw them in a vault. I mean, they weren't thinking about this market. So the coins are based upon, and this would be for travel as well, right? They're based on quality and rarity. The quality is exhibited in the mint state. So the higher the mint state, the fewer the blemishes. The rarity is in the date, how many were originally minted, how many are known to exist in the entire world. Now, even that number is going to be a little skewed because some people, like, they'd get this coin, and I'm not a numismatist, and most people I don't know, most people I know are not numismatists, but they might look at that coin and go, oh, I think that's higher than a mint state 63. Well, these cases are tamper-proof. So if you even attempt to break this out, you got to get the whole thing redone. And so if I think that this is a higher quality level, I break this out, I send it in to get grading. If it gets graded at the same level, it makes it look like there's one more there. So even when we give you how many are known to exist in the whole world, then quite honestly, there's probably we're reporting 10% or so more than there actually is. And then you also look at in a higher quality level, so a mint state 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, and 70, how many are known? So those are the factors and supply and demand that go into the valuation of these coins. And so that's where that big difference is. And so typically also, like, let's see if I can explain this. Well, if I don't really explain something well, please let Adam know and give me an opportunity to explain it in a different way. But, you know, that quality and rarity piece, let's say we go to an auction and there are 10 coins and they're all the same and there are 10 people at this auction and everybody wants one. So whatever that pricing is, that's what everybody pays and they walk out and they're happy. But what if you only had one and every person wanted it? Well, then what's going to happen is it's going to drive up that price because there's just not that availability. So history shows us that the premiums that get paid are dependent upon all of that. And so then when we're establishing your goals, you're really the one that's establishing those. For me, I definitely have legacy gold, but there's different types of gold depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. It's the right tool for the job, and the strategy is built in layers, and those layers even include some cash as a first line of defense, not as a long-term piece. So wherever we are in this trend cycle, what we're trying to accomplish with this strategy is that you have the right tool for the job and you can grow that legacy wealth base. You know, I am concerned about confiscation, and I promise that, especially with what's happening with Mali and Barrick Gold and the confiscation that's in your face, because too many people go, they would never confiscate. Even in the face of them confiscating, this isn't the first time. They might use different words, but it ends up in the same place. So I will do that when we get back from Vancouver. That is tippy top on my list to do it, because that's That's one of the reasons why I hold this, even though they're pretty much the same. These two are pretty much the same. The reason why I hold this for my savings versus this is that I do believe that we could see an overt confiscation again. Desperate governments do desperate things. And J.P. Haynes asks, is it better to buy fewer high-priced, expensive pre-33 coins, or is it better to buy more less expensive pre-33 coins? And I'm going to go back and say, depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Depends. So I'd say you want to always, no matter what you're doing, even if you're going to buy Bitcoin or stocks or whatever it is that you're going to be doing, you need to be clear on what you're trying to accomplish and then see how history helps you make the choice of what you should position into. Because quite honestly, let's take silver. Silver's a whole lot cheaper than gold. It is definitely part of my portfolio because I like it for barterability. But would I want to buy a commercial building with this? It would take an awful lot of silver to buy that commercial building. So the answer would be no, I wouldn't want to do that. I'd go even more rare than this one. This is not the most rare coin in the world. You know, obviously, because I'm here, I don't want to keep a lot. I don't keep a lot of gold and silver in my home. That's gone. But it just kind of depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If what you're trying to do is an emergency, then this is what you want. If what you're trying to do is growth, then this is what you want. Does that make sense?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, I skipped a question real quickly because you were on the coin topic, and I wanted to kind of make sure you hit that right there. So it looks like Michael Moore would be the next question here.
Okay, Michael Moore, what about platinum? Will that increase or be used as a monetary metal? Platinum is not a monetary metal. It is more rare than gold, but it is more of an industrial metal. I'm not wearing any today, but I have a lot of platinum. Most of the other jewelry that you see is actually, platinum. So I do like it, and I did own some platinum coins years ago when platinum was trading at a higher price than gold was trading. But it is not a monetary metal, so I focus primarily on gold and silver because those are the two monetary metals. And Jay Bella asks, how much gold is there in the world, and can I see that? Well, let's see. Can we switch to this, do you think?
Sure can.
We can? Okay, let's see if I can do that for you. Okay, let me get rid of that. Give me 2 seconds. Come on. Okay, I'm going to close that down and close that down, and we are going to go. Okay. How much? Oops. Because it fits into an Olympic-sized swimming pool, even with all of the new gold finds. They're really not many. This is from, I kind of like this one. Well, wait, what's this one? Above ground gold, privately owned, officially owned. Oh, okay. I like this one. Can we put that up?
Yep, give me 2 seconds.
Okie doke. Is that not?
Oh, is your PowerPoint still running?
I shut it down. Do I need to shut all the PowerPoints down?
Yeah,
I will.
Probably.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I have a tendency to have lots of tabs open. It's.
Okay, you're good now?
Yep. All the PowerPoints are all shut down, but it's still not coming up naturally.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see.
Well, we could just turn this around.
Go ahead and
Could we do that?
Real quickly, it'll take 2 seconds. to do
Okay.
this. Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
Should just be a quick plug in, plug out. Let's see.
Okay.
That should do it. Let's
Ah, there it is. Okay. And we could look at a few of these images just to kind of No.
What is it displaying right now?
that it is displaying some kind of.
Is it sending it over there? So can you drag it?
Can I drag it? I
Either
can.
to the left or the right?
I'm trying.
There it is. You see it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yep.
It just disappeared on us.
Well, because I let go of the. There it is.
Yeah.
Now, should I let it go, or how do I get it there? Oh, now there is already a file with the same name in this location.
Double click that. Can you
Double click, copy and replace.
Yeah, there it is. Now, do you see that little thing on the screen over there?
Uh-huh.
Double click that. Do you see your cursor?
No.
No?
Do you see my cursor? Well, tell you what, can we post the image somewhere?
I sure can. Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay,
I'll
we'll
get it for
post
you
the
guys.
image somewhere.
Don't you love lives? Lives are the best, right?
I love lives. Oh, but that, you know what? That is the image that I see on the screen when I shut that down. What if I open it back up?
Yeah, try it. I don't know exactly
It's
why
not
it's casting it.
connecting.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know why it's not
connecting. Okay,
I don't know why
I'm
it's
sorry. I'm not going to be able to show it to you. But if you think about it, it fits into an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Where do you see that at? Where do you get that information at?
Oh, you can just search it. Do a search on it.
Okay.
An image of all the gold in the world. Demonocracy does great work on this
Okay.
kind of stuff, on all of it as well. But gold.org is another place. I mean, there's a lot of places where you can see it visually. And Wolf asks, Lynette, isn't it possible for the government to cancel the no confiscation reg for pre-33 gold coins? Absolutely. Governments can legalize and therefore do anything that they want. However, they don't want pushback. And this kind of gold is 2% of total gold in the world. And you can't go back to prior to 1933 and create any more. And so when you look at, this is why I like to look at the ultra rarities index. So PCGS puts out an ultra rarities index, and these coins will go for millions of dollars for 1 ounce of gold, right? So if they were going to do a confiscation, this is what I personally think it would look like. All right, most people, if they hold gold at all, they hold it inside of their IRAs. So the government, let's say spot market, which is easily manipulated market, let's say the spot market's at $5,000 when they decide to confiscate. So they'll tell you, well, we're going to take your gold because, hey, eminent domain laws say we can do this, but we have to pay you fair market. And since the market right now is at $5,000, we'll pay you $7,000. They know what they're going to be doing. So most people, not understanding that the spot market is a trading market, not a market that reflects true value, would go, well, wow, look at how great they're being. My gold is only worth $5,000 and they're willing to pay me $7,000. Okay. And they would not get pushback. But if somebody paid $15 million for this coin, are they going to be willing to turn it in for $7,000? So they would have to go through every individual coin and get valuations. It ain't worth it. Additionally, anybody that can pay $15 million for an ounce of gold, I don't know, but I'm thinking they're either somebody that writes the laws like Treasury Secretary Wooden, or can influence those that write the laws. So that's the category that I want to be in. Just like if I could buy the same medical insurance that the federal government has, it cost me a premium, rock and roll hoochie coo. So that's also the importance of understanding the fundamental value. Because even though I can sit here and tell you what that is, the market isn't going to do that. Because it is a trading market and everything has been turned into a trading product, right? When will that happen? when the public loses all confidence, and we're going to record it tomorrow, an update on that confidence. And you guys know I do that on a pretty regular basis because it's that important. But when all confidence is lost and we are in hyperinflation, then guess what has to happen? They have to lop off zeros. They need to make you think that they have it under control. And so that, my friends, is when they do those overnight revaluations. And they take this that has no intrinsic value and they revalue it against this, which is all intrinsic value. That is when we will see spot gold and silver start to move toward its fundamental value. That's also when we'll be executing part of the strategy, which is to eliminate your fixed rate debt. It's the way the governments do it. They just keep creating this money that has less and less value so that they can repay the debts with ultimately a currency that has absolutely zero value. And that's just a repetition of history. Okay, this is the last question. Wasilla Stacker asks, over the past year, I have stacked quite a few brilliant uncirculated pre-33 coins. Would it be worth it to send them out to be graded or just leave them raw? Kind of depends on where you accumulated them. Because if you got them from a dealer that's working with a wholesaler, I'm pretty darn sure that that wholesaler went through to see if they were worth grading. However, I have had it happen where somebody has inherited a bunch of brilliant uncirculated or a bunch of gold coins, and they didn't know what it was. In fact, this was one of the best day, and I don't know if this person is watching. It was quite some time ago. But I had this phone call from a prospect, all right? He was calling in, and these people were seriously dirt poor. They had nothing. But they just inherited, I think it was 10 or 13, I don't remember now, gold coins from a grandfather that passed away. And so he wanted to know, what were they worth? And so I said, okay, you know, what's the date on the coin? That's the first question. And they were super, super early. They were like, and they were all the same date or right around the same date. So in that case, oh, heck yes, because when I called my wholesaler to get a preliminary price, if they were in like brilliant uncirculated or even extra fine, very fine, or something like that, it came back and was like the wholesaler offered, don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure it was something like a couple $1,000,000 because it was such a rare coin. So in that case, we sent all of those coins in, and you had this family that literally was barely living from paycheck to paycheck, and they did not liquidate all of them. But I know that they did liquidate the one of them, and all of a sudden. So it depends on where you got it. If you got it from, if you got it from a dealer, chances are pretty good they already went through that. If you didn't get it from a dealer, then what I would suggest is give us a call, give us a list of the dates and what you have. Let's do a little preliminary. And if it's worth it, then we can send them on to the wholesaler for review. If the wholesaler believes that they are gradable, right, then they will send it into PCGS for grading. If PCGS believes that they are gradable, then they will grade it, and it's very inexpensive. I don't know what it is now, so please do not hold me to this, but it depends on how many you were grading. And the last time I did it, this was a while, it was probably higher than this, but it was like something like $35 a coin or something like that. It was like nothing. So you would take just a raw coin, like you're talking about, and turning it into this. What's the difference between them? Thousands of dollars. But, it depends on where you bought them. Okay, so we will not be at our normal live next week, but we will do it the following day on Wednesday because we get back at like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So please bear with us for this last time. And then afterwards, we will go back to our normal time. And by the way, if any of you guys are going to VRIC, please come and let me know that you saw this on the live. And also make sure to check out our recent video, How Much Gold and Silver Do You Need? And I go through a lot of those steps there because I think everybody needs to own and have a foundation in gold and silver in any form. I just want you guys protected. And come together in community. Let's do this. We can do it. We can build a global community with gold and silver, quiet, peaceful, but real, so that we have a chance at securing our future and our children's future. Critically important. 100% I know. Together, we can make a positive difference in this world. Let's do it. And until next we meet, please be safe out there. Thanks for coming, you guys. Please make sure you subscribe, share this, everything. We've got to get this message out. Bye-bye.